NFL Week 3 running back rankings. We got guys soaring up the ranks, guys crashing down. Trevion Henderson is not looking good. Who knew Antonio Gibson was going to outsnap him? Not me. I drafted him in round 3. We're cold. Now, we're going to be doing this on a Week 3 projection basis, but we're also going to factor in rest of season. It's going to be combined into one. You'll see my reasoning as we go, but it's mostly based on Week 3 projections. Smash that subscribe. We're going to do ranking every position. Running back, wide receiver will be the next video. Then we'll have tight end, defense, kicker, and quarterback. So don't you worry. You're in the right spot. Like and subscribe right now so you don't miss more. We're going to be looking at the list. This is currently most of the Week 2 running back rankings on this list. I did some minor adjustments just briefly, but we're going to go to Flock Fantasy, a free website where you can actually look at the underlying stats for all these guys. Go make sure you check it out. Mason Dodd from Flock Fantasy, nice enough to let us use this. S tier. The S tier players, I'm going to start off with Christian McCaffrey. So we're going to be making changes to this tier list as we go here for Week 3 rankings. Who should you start? Who should you bench? Who should you flex? All that stuff. All the S tier guys, realistically, you're happy playing all of them. But in terms of like on a week-to-week basis, I think Christian McCaffrey might have to be number 1. Look at the stats. 23 fantasy points, 23 fantasy points, back-to-back weeks. And what do you notice here? No rushing touchdowns. I mean, the touchdown dependency, the fact that he doesn't have any rushing touchdowns ain't bad. Now, I get it. He's very involved in the receiving game, which you'd love to see. 17 targets through 2 weeks is wild. Averaging 60 receiving yards through 2 contests. A salivating matchup versus the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know how you can potentially keep him out of the top running back spot for this week. We all knew it. When he's healthy, he's going to be good. Take a look at Bijan Robinson. Now, Bijan Robinson has been very, very good in back-to-back weeks. Versus the Minnesota Vikings, he was cutting like a madman. Bijan Robinson also is going to be an S-tier player. However, the reason I have CMC ahead of him is when you look at the Tyler Algier was getting 16 carries. Or maybe it was like 10 carries and Bijan had 16, right? So Tyler Algier was a vulture. You saw Tyler Algier vulture the rushing touchdown. What's that about? So that's why CMC is ahead of Bijan in my rankings. We got Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs, solid bounce back, you could say, but it was a weird game script. Him and David Montgomery both were heavily involved against the Chicago Bears. You can see he gets 15 points the first week of the year, 19 points in week 2. Take a look at the receiving usage. Week 1, notoriously 10 receptions for the worst receiving yards you'll ever see in your life. Only 3 catches in week number 2, but the rushing effectiveness was back where we like to see it, 8 yards per carry. Solid matchup versus the Baltimore Ravens. Are they going to be able to run the ball? I don't know, right? I think they might fall behind, and then it might be good. We could get some underlying usage in the receiving game for Gibbs here. So I like Gibbs, S-tier play, obviously. Saquon Barkley, people might start getting disappointed with Saquon because we were used to the 30-point games last year. This year it's 18. You're happy. I mean, this is kind of his floor in my eyes. 1 rushing touchdown in both games, which is solid. Take away that rushing touchdown, though, and people are not happy campers. He's still heavily involved. He's a focal point of this Eagles offense. He's going to be a solid play versus the Rams. Now, looking at what Saquon Barkley has done versus the Rams in his career, let's go to 2024, and let's look at versus the Rams. 46 fantasy points with a 70% snap rate. This guy had 260 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. He had 4 catches for 300 total yards. So Saquon Barkley is firmly in S tier for week 3. In fact, Saquon Barkley, I'm tempted to boost him up a little bit. I'm actually going to put Saquon as the second running back for the week. It's aggressive, but this guy has dominated Los Angeles Rams in the past, even in the playoffs last year. So I think Saquon is probably my second favorite option this week. Heading down to A tier, this is where things are probably going to start getting subject to change. King Henry. A lot of people had Derrick Henry as the number 1 running back going into week 2. Thankfully, I did not, but I did have him pretty high up there. I mean, the floor is basically the basement at this point. I mean, he had 50% of the carries, just he was 2 yards per carry, embarrassing. Obviously, no receptions. That's the problem here, and no touchdowns. I think he's going to bounce back versus Detroit, but if you look at the schedule, the Chiefs, tough matchup. The Texans, tough matchup. The Rams, good defensive line. And then a bye week. So the next couple of weeks might be rough here for Derrick Henry. Just keep that in mind. Like we're going to talk about rest of year projections. I think Derrick Henry's going to have some tough sledding here coming up. But honestly, he's kind of a unique monster. He might thrive versus tough competition. I'm going to look to potentially bump him down, but we'll see who can I bump ahead of him. I'm actually thinking Devon Achane. We're going to put Devon Achane with a chance to go higher because look at him. 10 receptions on 8 targets. Derrick Henry's getting no receptions. Devon Achane's getting a lot of receptions, right? So I think that based on the receiving usage alone, Devon Achane is now firmly the top of A tier with a chance to even push S tier potentially. Solid matchup versus the Bills where the Dolphins are going to be down a lot. Short week on Thursday Night Football. Expect Achane to have a big game. Chase Brown has not been very good. Chase Brown has actually been disappointing. He hasn't been effective. Chase Brown has also not really been getting much touchdowns, right? You saw a touchdown week 1, but week 2, no. And week 1, the touchdown salvage this week where he was like 40 yards, 2 catches, 10 yards. Very, very disappointing start to the season for Chase Brown. This guy was averaging in 2024, the second half of the year, he was averaging over 20 points per game. What happened to that? Hello? Where are you? Chase Brown, come back. So Chase Brown, disappointing start, but he's facing Minnesota Vikings. Jake Browning is in. Maybe they, more checkdowns, more rushes. I think Chase Brown has a solid game right here. And we just saw Bijan Robinson go pretty nuclear versus the Vikings. Carson Wentz is also in. Do they get more goal line opportunities with fumbles, with turnovers, which Carson Wentz has struggled before? I think Chase Brown's solid where he is. Jonathan Taylor might also have to leapfrog. He might have to rise. This guy was insane in week 2. Week 2, 30 fantasy points. Didn't even have the rushing touchdown. 2 catches, 50 yards. I mean, listen, 170 rushing yards week 2, 70 in week 1. I mean, Daniel Jones is vulturing the tush-push, 1-yard line touchdowns, which does suck. But I think Jonathan Taylor has to be above Derrick Henry for right now. I mean, I think his floor might just be a bit higher. Ashton Genty, I have not seen Monday Night Football yet, so it's hard for me to go in and put him higher or lower. Same thing with Bucky Irving, subject to change for those two guys. Kyren Williams. People are going to be disappointed with where Kyren Williams ended in week 2. In week 1, he gets the touchdown, which kind of salvages this day. 14 fantasy points, not terrible. Back-to-back weeks, almost the same usage. 66 yards, 17 carries, 18 carries. His snap percentage was actually down. We've seen it in the past where it's volatile, where you have Blake Corum. I think Blake Corum actually had one of the touchdowns in this game as well on the ground, which is disappointing if you're a Kyren Williams owner. Only 2 receptions as well. I would not press the panic button just yet. Versus the Eagles last year, though, not a very good game. 11 points, and that's including a touchdown. He had no underlying receiving usage, but he was actually pretty effective on the ground. So I'm fine putting Kyren Williams ranked where he is. James Cook might have to jump up a whole tier. I already jumped James Cook up within the tier B, but I might have to put him even higher, man. This guy has been probably one of the best running backs to start the year. 21 points in week 1, 27 in week 2. Rushing touchdown week 1, 2 rushing touchdowns. Everyone was saying, including me, James Cook's going to have regression, touchdown regression. Don't rely on the touchdowns this year. I guess we were wrong. I mean, look at it. Week 1, receiving usage boosts him up. Week 2, no receiving usage, but who cares? They were up by 1 million, and he gets 2 rushing touchdowns at 130 yards. James Cook he's looking good, man. Versus the Dolphins, in fact, let's check it out. What did James Cook do versus the Dolphins last year? Obviously, they play him twice, 12 points and 29 points. Wow. And that was only with 1 catch. He had 2 touchdowns in that game. Yeah, so really the 2 touchdowns, the touchdown dependency is what boosted him the first time they played. The second time they played, he didn't have any touchdowns, but he did have 6 targets and 5 receptions. I'm confident putting James Cook, and people might clown this, I think James Cook has to be the RB6 for the week. I mean, his RB4 finished week 1, RB1 finished week 2. It's hard for me to put him any lower. He might even be ahead of Achane, but I like Achane's receiving usage and floor a bit higher. So James Cook, big time riser this week. Josh Jacobs, I'm a little disappointed here. People are, Josh Jacobs is playing so good. He's getting all the volume on the ground, like 19 carries, 23 carries, back-to-back weeks of rushing touchdowns, 14 points with touchdowns. Isn't that good? Now, why is it so bad? Is because he only has 1 target for 2 games. Tough matchup versus the Browns here, too. I think Josh Jacobs is going to be staying right where he is. Alvin Kamara. Kamara has also had good usage. Receiving-wise, though, week 1, it wasn't really there, right? Only 2 targets week 1. You're happy to find that climbing back up in week 2, but he wasn't very effective. 6 catches, 6 targets, 20 yards. Rushing the ball, he almost had 100 rushing yards with almost 5 yards per attempt. Solid week 2. In week 3, they take on the Seattle Seahawks. I think Kamara has a pretty safe floor. Expect around 14 to 15 or more fantasy points. So I like Kamara right where he is. He might even be a bit of a riser in the rankings here, but I'm fine leaving him where he is. Breece Hall. Breece Hall had a disappointing week by a lot of people's standards. In week 1, he had 17 PPR points. Everyone's like, oh, he's back. 100 yards, he's back. 4 targets, he's back. He didn't get the same volume in week 2. The game script was not there. Justin Fields had 6 passing yards at halftime. Finished with 20 passing yards, right? So Breece Hall had more receiving yards in week 1 than Justin Fields had passing yards in week 2. So it's kind of a fluke game here, but you expect the Jets offense to be bad. I expect Breece Hall to rebound. I like him ranked where he is. James Conner might have to fall in my rankings. James Conner might have to fall. If you can, sell him. Sell James Conner while you can. Now, why do I think James Conner has to fall in the rankings? Take a look. 14 points, 13 points. It's all right. Oh, it's 4 games. Listen, this is with a touchdown. This is with a touchdown in both of these games. Take the touchdown away. He's at 8. He's at 6. You don't want to be this touchdown dependent. Trey Benson is now, in week 1, Trey Benson was eating into the rushing usage. Week 2, James Conner has the rushing usage, and Trey Benson's eating into the receiving usage. I don't care, bro. Trey Benson is a pest. We should have known. I mean, really, I thought Trey Benson would be a pest last year, so I didn't think too much of it this year when you heard, oh, Trey Benson's looking good. It seems like Trey Benson is expanding his role. James Conner might have to fall. We'll see just how far. Chuba Hubbard was the next person we got to consider. Chuba Hubbard has another good game. 18 points, 19 points. Look at the receiving usage. 5 targets, 6 targets. James Conner had 1 target last week. I think it's safe to say that Chuba Hubbard is going to leapfrog James Conner in these rankings. Amari and Hampton, it's hard to say without seeing Monday Night Football. I'm going to put Hampton ahead of James Conner as well, even though Najee's a pest. I just think Hampton, man, like you have young up and coming versus aging vet. Now for the game, like looking at the matchups here, let's go back to James Conner. James Conner, averaging 13 points, takes on the San Francisco 49ers. They play him twice a year. Last year, 14 points in that game. And then the second time they face each other, I don't even know, did he play? With James Conner, you never know. And it looks like James Conner did not face the 49ers twice last year, only faced them once. So that's disappointing. But we're looking at Chuba Hubbard ahead of James Conner. And we're looking at Amari and Hampton. What is Amari and Hampton's week 3 matchup versus the Broncos? That is a tough test. And I think we're going to have James Conner actually still slightly ahead of him. We'll reserve the right to change that. Tony Pollard has all of the rushing usage in Tennessee, and he's doing pretty good with it. Tony Pollard has been pretty efficient. He's been pretty effective. Look at week 2. He's averaging 5 yards a carry, 92 rushing yards, almost 19 carries a game in the first 2 weeks. He looks solid on the ground. 2 targets. Scam Ward is not dumping the ball down enough. So the receiving usage is bad, ladies and gentlemen. It's bad. So that's concerning for Pollard for sure. And I think I'm going to bump him down the rankings a little bit. Javonte Williams is a big-time riser. Where should I put Javonte Williams for week 3 ranking specifically? Looking at where he's been the first 2 weeks, 20 points, 25 points, 3 touchdowns. Involved in the receiving game with 7 targets in week 2, but keep in mind that was on 55 Dak Prescott pass attempts. Don't expect that very often. He's been effective on the ground. The matchup in week 3 is versus Chicago Bears. Yeah. Is it crazy to put Javonte Williams ahead of Breece Hall? Javonte Williams is my RB14 on the week so far. TreVeyon Henderson is also going to be someone that has to fall. This guy's been very, very good. His floor is a little bit higher because he's getting receiving usage, but he was outsnapped by Ramondre, outsnapped by Gibson. This guy is frustrating. How far does he have to fall? We'll keep looking at the other guys. Travis Etienne, you're a little upset that you got Bashal Tunin with the looking good. Bashal Tunin did look good, but Etienne still had his role. 14 rushes, had 3 targets again. He had a touchdown through the air, I believe. He also looked good, like 5 yards per attempt in week 2, following a 9 yard per attempt in week 1 versus the Texans. This is a tougher matchup. Take a look at what he did last year versus the Texans. It was a decent game, just no touchdown, I guess. 7 fantasy points the first time they played, 8.8 the second time they played. I think Etienne could have a solid day. I think Etienne is pretty fairly ranked as is. We're going to bump him ahead of Tony Pollard because Etienne is getting more receiving usage at this moment than Tony Pollard is. TreVeyon Henderson is too high, man. We're going to actually switch. We're going to throw Jaylen Warren up a whole tier. Jaylen Warren, with Caleb Johnson basically selling the game, sabotaging the season, Jaylen Warren simply has to rise. 14 fantasy points in week 1, 17 points in week 2, 90 receiving yards. This guy might only be averaging 3 yards a carry, but versus the Patriots, I'm going to be taking that as a start in week number 3. Kenneth Walker is the next name here. Kenneth Walker, very weird. They tried giving Zach Charbonnet the football early on, which is bad for Kenneth Walker. Charbonnet was averaging 2 yards per carry. I think he had 10 rushes, 20 yards. Walker looked much more efficient, way better than he did in week 1. Still didn't have any receiving usage. He plays the Saints. It's a good matchup, but can you really trust him? I'm going to throw him here in the top of D tier, but this is just somebody I don't trust because Charbonnet is going to have a role. David Montgomery might be somebody that has to rise as well. Again, him and Jahmyr Gibbs both had a solid day versus Chicago Bears. 13 fantasy points. He gets the rushing touchdown, which is the difference from week 1. 11 carries both weeks. More effective with 57 yards. Not as involved in the receiving game, which you don't like to see. Versus the Ravens, do they use Jahmyr Gibbs more than Montgomery? I think so. I think Montgomery's going to stay right where he is. Still ahead of Travion Henderson, though. Isaiah Pacheco has to fall as well. Pacheco, sadly, well, he looks dusty, man. He looks dusty. The underlying usage of snap rate's not there. 4.8, 3.9. I don't think Pacheco is even startable here versus the Giants. I still have hope for Pacheco in the long term. Don't panic right now. Don't sell low. I have hope that he can rebound, but he's going to be someone we have to bump down these rankings. DeAndre Swift, he might not look good, but he has so much opportunity and volume that he's, his floor is where we thought it would be. 10 points, 14 points. Involved in the receiving game, not effective. Involved in the rushing game, he's all right. Gets the touchdown, which salvages his day. He's a start versus Dallas right here in week 3. And I'm going to bump him probably. Am I starting Walker or Swift? I'm probably starting Swift just for the safer floor. I think that's pretty fairly ranked. Aaron Jones is injured, expecting to miss time. We're going to throw him down there at the bottom. Tyrone Tracy, losing snaps to one man, Mr. Scatabo. I think we're going to put Scatabo wherever Travion Henderson is. We'll put him right behind Travion. Tyrone Tracy is a big-time faller. Jordan Mason is a big-time riser. I think Mason might actually jump all the way up a couple of tiers here. Jordan Mason, I don't know if we're going to have the week 2 stats pulled up, but this guy, if Aaron Jones is out, Jordan Mason's going to be involved in the receiving game and the rushing game in a big way versus the Bengals. The Bengals defense isn't good. I'm starting Jordan Mason if I have him this week. I'm probably starting him over DeAndre Swift. I like that ranking right there for Mr. Mason. Zach Charbonnet didn't look good. We're going to bump him down a little bit in the rankings. Ramondre Stevenson probably has to get bumped up. If we have Travion Henderson not getting usage, somebody has to get the usage. And so far, it's been Ramondre Stevenson. 21 points right there in week 2. A very weird game script. He had a 55-yard reception as well, which obviously bolsters everything up. So I wouldn't read too much into this with Ramondre. He's more of like a very desperate running back type play. And Travion and Scatabo, they can't be in the same tier as the guys above them. Neither can him. I think E tier. It looks like E tier is going to be a robust tier of players. And honestly, I'm probably still starting Pacheco over Scatabo. We'll have some hope. Eckler is also injured. Quinshon Judkins had a good role. He made the most of his opportunities in week 2. I think Judkins should be probably right there with Travion Henderson, because I think Judkins is going to have potentially a larger role than Travion Henderson as it has been given thus far. RJ Harvey, you're not that excited. Once again, RJ Harvey, he looks all right. 5 carries, 8 yards. A very, very bad game. 2 targets. It's not a good day for RJ Harvey. He still is not startable. I think we have to bump him down these rankings. Caleb Johnson isn't even worth ranking at this point. I think he's definitely droppable in a redraft league. It's not looking good for him. Najee, it's hard to rank. B-Rob, he deserves to be where he is. Bigsby deserves to be where he is. Honestly, this bottom tier doesn't really matter what order you have these guys in. But Trey Benson is a riser. Charbonnet is pretty solid where he is. Tracy is solid where he is. Some guys we have to rank is J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins, I think he's a start. J.K. Dobbins should be potentially in your lineup. 15 points back-to-back weeks. Touchdowns back-to-back weeks. Good effectiveness back-to-back weeks. Dobbins has to go up here pretty high. Let's see the matchup. The week 3 matchup is going to be... Who's it against? Tell me who's it against. Oh, no. That's too bad. I guess week 3, the Broncos. I can't think of off the top of my head. It's unfortunate, but J.K. Dobbins should be somebody starting in your lineup. Bill Krosky. Bill Krosky Merritt. Where do you put him? Austin Eckler's done. They signed Chase Edmonds. If I see Chase Edmonds out there over Bill Krosky, things are just going to get wild. What's the receiving usage going to be is the question. They take on the Raiders. I don't trust him. I'm putting him down here in the bottom of D tier, which I think is a pretty high ranking, considering we haven't gotten much snaps from this guy. Dylan Sampson is also sadly fantasy irrelevant now that we have... he gets the garbage time touchdown catch from Dylan Gabriel. Still, Not convinced. I think that's pretty fair right there. Nick Chubb, haven't seen him on Monday Night Football. My guess is Nick Chubb probably ends up somewhere in this range, maybe right below Scatabo. Like maybe I start him over Scatabo, but probably not. Like I don't want to start any of these guys, to be honest, down here in E tier. You want to be starting D tier players and above, and if you're desperate, then you start looking at E tier. Those are the rankings. That's the tier list there for week number 3. Week 3 RB rankings. We talked about weekly rankings. We talked about end of season rankings as well as we went here. I'm trying to see if we missed anybody. I think that's a pretty solid tier list. Bashal, Tuna, I'm still not starting. Mixon, obviously, I'm not starting. There it is. Solid tier list. We head to wide receivers next. Let me know what you would change. Got any questions? Let me know. Thanks for watching, boys.